This is a demo of the features available in the unofficial GURPS 4th edition game system for Foundry, as of version 0.6.6. As mentioned in the description, characters are created elsewhere and imported into Foundry. To bring exported characters into Foundry, you first must create an actor. You can give it any name you wish, it will be overwritten. As done on purpose, it is assumed that the GM or player will re-import the characters as they progress. So you press the import button and then select a previously exported character. And now you see the filled out character sheet. It is only editable at the fatigue points or hit points. Everything else is read only. Now you'll notice that some of the items are highlighted in yellow. These are buttons that you can roll. If we go to the chat window, we'll roll against his strength, and you'll see the results in the chat window. By the way, the 3D dice are from a free module called Dice So Nice. In my opinion, it isn't a tabletop game unless you get to roll dice. You can roll attributes, you can roll dodge, you can roll attacks, you can roll against skills. You can also roll damage. Now you'll also see some things that are highlighted in orange. These are modifiers. In the case, let's say Bog is going to try to chop somebody's head off, and so he's going to attack the neck. So he hits a -5, and you'll see down here at the bottom of the screen this red square. This is known as the Modifier Bucket, and in here it's collected up a -5. So the next roll that Bog makes will have a -5 applied to it. So we'll have him try to attack with the Great Axe, and you can see in the chat window that the -5 has been applied, and he still succeeded. Now you can have multiple modifiers and they will just stack up. So he might try to attack from range with his throwing axe. He takes 1 round to gain the accuracy, and he's shooting for the foot. So it's been totaled up down here, and now he can roll to attack. Now the game system doesn't care what he rolls. He can roll anything, it won't make sense to roll hearing and have those modifiers. The game system does not force the users to do anything. Also, the game system will calculate range for you. So in this case, I'm going to take this character, hold down the control key, and it shows range. And the number in the parentheses is the GURPS range modifier, and you can see that's appeared down here. You can hit the trash can to clear any modifiers. Now, on the sheet, you can see other examples of yellow and red text. These are instances of what I call the on-the-fly system. A player or a GM can embed a role or modifier in the text of a character sheet solely for the purpose of making it easier to find the particular role that you need. Depending on the character creation tool, you can embed the text in the name, or the notes, or in GCS, the user description. In this case, if you look at Bog, he likes to do the mighty blow. So if we pull up Bog in GCS, you can see that for the Great Axe, I just added the mighty blow text with square brackets around it. And the game system then interprets that as a button. The available on-the-fly formats are here, and it'll parse any of these into a role of some type or a modifier of some type. The text is basically just optional. It gets reported to the chat windows so all the players can see what it means. So in the case of Bog, you can see the combat reflexes. The character creation tool has already applied the +1 to active defenses, but it can't apply a +6 to IQ rolls. So the GM went into the character tool, added this text in there, and now the player, if as asked to make Bog wake up, can add this modifier and then roll against their intelligence. And you can see in the window, oh, Bog woke up. So there's examples of high pain threshold. This just turns into a roll. It's going to roll against Bog's health +3. You can see the success over there. It works really well in examples like here for the first aid. For first aid at tech level 3, the damage or the healing is done, it's 1d minus 3, with a minimum of 1. So the formula puts the exclamation point at the end to tell it that it's a minimum of 1, and the player can just hit this and get a healing roll. The text, of course, is just ornamental, but it lets people in chat see what the result's going to be. Now, this becomes very powerful if you're ever dealing with any of the magics as powers systems like sorcery or divine favor. My character Luna here is an example of a Hogwarts magician, and the majority of her advantages are actually spells. In this case, the Aloha Mora spell is actually a door opening spell that uses her lock-picking skill at a +1. And the spell Confundo here is a contest of wills, but it's -1 per hex instead of the regular range modifier. So if Luna is 4 hexes away, the user can press this 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll see down here in the modifier bucket it's -4, and they can roll against their will. And they can see how much they made it by, and then the other player can roll theirs, and they can determine the result of the contest. The sole purpose is to allow the user to customize their character sheet so it works better for them in their game. Now, you'll also see text that looks like hyperlinks. If you have the free PD Foundry module installed and you've told it where your GURPS PDF files exists, you can click this link and it'll take you to that page. Now, this system works well enough for simple cases, but not everything in GURPS is simple, and in fact can be rather complicated. So to that end, we built the Modifier Bucket tooltip. If you bring your mouse down over this red square and go under the square, it'll bring up a tooltip with a lot of options. Now, this is a tooltip, so if you move your mouse away, it goes away. So let's say, for example, that Bog is wants to do a determined attack against the eye, but it's done in a half moon situation. So over here on the left, you can see all the modifiers as they build up, and you can click on any of them to go away. He might decide that going for the eye might be a little bit too ambitious. So if he clicks that, it goes away. He can come back up here and says, oh, instead I'm going to go after the face. So here are the total modifiers, and he can move off and make that roll, and we'll see if he can hit the guy in the face. Nope, missed. Now, especially with new players, they may have a difficult time knowing all the modifiers that they can set up. So a GM can set up their own modifier bucket and send it to a player. So maybe a player had chosen all-out defense and they happen to have a shield, and they are doing a retreating dodge and have decided that they want to do a feverish defense. This is their current modifier bucket, and the GM can take this and send it to the player Tom. And if you look over here in the chat window, it whispered back to the GM and told you what all the players have in their modifier buckets. And now the player Tom has this set, and so the next roll that they make will have all these modifiers applied against it. Now, one of the last features of the modifier bucket is that characters can have statuses on them. So if we zoom in here to Bog, I can apply a status to Bog, like prone or drunk. And if I pull up the modifier bucket, this current effects window is showing a list of modifiers that you could apply to Bog because of that status that he's in. You're not required to. It's basically just a reminder so that you know, oh, right, this character is drunk, so if I make any IQ or dex checks, I have to take a -2. If you control multiple characters, you switch to another character, then of course Luna does not have any of those effects on them. One of the other features that we have built in is, you can see it right here, it's a little bit of automation. In this particular case, to use extra effort costs 1 fatigue point. Now this is just the user or the GM has typed this text in, but if they end the modifier in this form, asterisk costs something, then the system will pay that for them if they use the modifier. So maybe Bog wants to do a mighty blow and adds that into the modifier bucket. The minute Bog makes the roll, then the fatigue points will be subtracted from 16 to 15, and the damage added to their roll. And that's the system as it stands. I'd like to add the ability for the GM to drag a damage roll from the chat window onto a character sheet and have a dialog window pop up with all the various options, applying specific DR, wounding multipliers, etc. As the GM makes the selections, it would do the math and show the results. The GM then would be able to apply the results to the target or ignore it altogether. It's their choice. And that's it. Thank you for watching.